Hi everyone. Hi. So welcome. Thank you for joining me this evening. As I said to you, I wanted to just come on here really just to talk about a few things. Talk about a few things that will challenge you, that will motivate you, that will push you through this season. And I thought I'd just get some help in order to do that. So I've brought along a great friend of mine, Miranda Jarrett. She's absolutely phenomenal. She has grown. She's going to say hello. She's going to introduce herself in a second. She's grown so much. And she's set up a fantastic business, which she's going to share with you all about. But we're going to tease out a few topics of discussion because we know that we're in a season of COVID. We know that we're in a season where things are now starting to open up. Things are now starting to change. We're starting to get to a little bit level of normality. And, things are starting to seem a bit brighter. So we're going to talk about a few things. So first of all, Miranda, introduce yourself. Tell us who you are.
Hi, my name is Miranda Jarrett, and I'm all the way over here in the UK.
Hi. Welcome. Sorry.
So I'm here. That's okay. So I am a businesswoman. I suppose it took me a long time to say that, but yeah, that's exactly what I am. I'm also a mom.
Yeah.
Of 4 children, and I would say that I am a individual that is passionate about helping people and pushing them to reach their full potential. Yeah. So in all shapes and forms, and I've been doing that for a long time. So yeah.
Fantastic. So Miranda, look, we've been going through COVID. We understand that we've learned a lot about ourselves. I've learned a lot about myself in this period of time. I've learned a lot about my family. I'm more aware of my son because, when they're at school, I always say this to people, that it's only during the summer holidays actually where I really get to understand my son. I get to know him a little bit more, and I get to see certain things that are probably behaviors that might need to be tweaked and changed, and some things I realize, oh my gosh, I didn't know you was even like that. So we kind of get to know our families when we have time. And we can honestly say we've had a lot of time. So I've learned a lot about myself. And we're now coming out of this season, so to speak. Things are starting to open back up. People are starting to go back to school. They're talking about schools reopening. They're talking about people going back to work if you're not a frontline worker. So I just want to talk about that. How do you think I want us to talk about change. If I can throw that word out to you, what does change mean to you? What does change mean in terms of endurance and so forth? I'll leave it with you. Go for it.
I think when we think about change, for many people, it's a difficult topic, really. Not many people like change. People struggle with change. But one of the things we can always say, there's always this term that change is good. Sometimes we need to shake things up a little bit because we get too complacent with how things are, and we can get trapped in the norm and that routine of doing something every day. It becomes mundane until it doesn't have a purpose anymore.
Yeah.
So for me, I would say that change is relevant, and it's something that we should always look for in life. We should never get used to doing the same thing all the time and get stuck on that hamster wheel.
Yeah.
One of the things I would also say is that with change, it's more about how you respond to the change as opposed to the change itself, because it's our response really is that what's going to lead us to whether it's a good change or a bad change.
Right, that's awesome. And I think, because I know that change can be a little bit of a cycle, really, because you can have the intentions to change, your mindset to change, and you're excited. I mean, come on, we do it every single year. At the start of a new year, at that New Year's service, or at that, wherever you are at that particular point, at the end of the year and at the beginning of the year, and you make your resolutions. And one of the biggest things that many of us do, we have all the intentions. We even start off really great, but we drop off. So what is it that we can do to actually, because I'm sure many of us have made goals and we've put things in place as to what we want to get out of this season that we've been in quarantine. We've got business plans, business ideas, but I don't want us to get to that point where we start because we're pumped up, because we've been locked in our house, we've got the energy. It's almost like running a relay, isn't it? No, running a marathon. Let's call it a marathon. When you start running a marathon, you're great to start off with, but once you get halfway through, you just want to say, look, forget it. This isn't for
Get it?
me. This is not your bed. So what would you tell people when we get to that stage?
I think one of the things that I generally I look at life exactly like that, a race. We have a start and we have a finish.
Yeah.
But often or not, we have obstacles in between. And, we could liken them to hurdles and say, your lane is full of hurdles.
Yeah.
And what do you do to try and get over them? And the key thing, it is about having an endurance. It is about being able to be resilient. It's about being able to be determined, because those things are part of your value. That's what's going to push you and motivate you to get to the end of that finish line. And sometimes setbacks in our life can make us feel as though if I've tripped once, I'm going to trip another time, and I'm going to keep tripping. And imagine all those hurdles that are in your lane. If your objective is to jump over those hurdles, every hurdle you face, you flop. You don't jump over it, you fall in front of it. The motivation to get back up again and say, I'm going to go again, after a while, you might lose. Out of 10 hurdles, you probably knock down all 9.
Come
and you think,
on.
well, what's the point about the last one? I'm going to do the same thing. But it is about having a different mindset, that every hurdle you face, as if it's your first, and trying situations exactly like that. Look at it as if it's your first, and you're going to get the motivation to do it, because often or not, it's the last hurdle where all your blessings are. It's the last hurdle where your deliverance, your victory, everything is there.
Yes. I love that. Because it is normally the last hurdle where, that blessing is. And, sometimes we do give up too easily. And I think one of the reasons why many of us do give up is because of probably past traumas. You've tried something before, it didn't work, and well, what's the point trying again, because it's never worked. And sometimes, that can be a massive stumbling block for many people, where we feel as though, look, I can't continue with this because everything it seems as though I put my hands to, it seemed to fail. And I'm sure, you hear about it, and I'm sure people have heard this before. The gentleman who owned KFC, who started his recipe, he knocked on thousands of doors to try his recipe, and I'm sure some people turned it down and said, nope, I don't even want to try your food. And he kept on knocking, but it was on that how many thousand into how many doors he went through, that's when he had his breakthrough. So it's about the keep on knocking, isn't it? It's about the pretty much endurance, really.
But I think when you think about Colonel, he understood the value of what he had. And so he knew that it was worth persisting about. And I think sometimes that comes to be the key for many people, that they don't believe that they hold value, which is why they might give up at that first, second or third hurdle. And I think it's important to really be able to understand that we all have got value.
Yeah, that's so true. And value's a key thing, because that's the thing that you see a lot of people struggle with, is their value, their self-worth, their confidence. I know you're talking about confidence in one of your videos, and some of the things that people are challenged with. And I mean, my biggest thing was I struggled with my confidence for many years. When it came to actually speaking publicly, haven't got a problem with that. My self-confidence more came from my own self-image, in terms of the way I saw myself. So I would always I'll tell people about the negative things about myself before they would tell me. And to be honest with you, half the time they're not even thinking. I highlight my stretch marks, I'm highlighting my nose, I'm highlighting my shape, my figure, that I've put on too much weight, my bottom's too big, this, all the things that the stories I've been telling myself, I will tell people first. And I realized that every time I'm knocking myself, I'm valuing myself too. And the only person that's going to place that value in me is myself and God. I have to believe in what God's placed in me. But you mentioned something in your videos about confidence, which I love. So if you could share about what you spoke about with confidence and why confidence is important, that would be awesome.
I think when I was looking at confidence, again, it was attached to value, and it was also looking at the fact that people look at ourselves and think, that's a strong person, that person must be confident and confident in everything that they do. But you don't actually realize that confidence it's a skill. It definitely is a skill, but it's something that is done repetitively. It's something that is practiced.
Mm.
And if you don't put yourself in an environment where you're practicing that skill, you can easily lose confidence in yourself and your abilities,
Oh yeah.
but still be a confident person. Things that you might, unfamiliar surroundings that you find yourself in can make you feel like I'm not confident in this situation. Doesn't mean you're not a confident person.
Yeah.
So, there's things that we have to apply in our lives to help boost our confidence. And that means you have to get out of your comfort zone. Even me doing those videos was me throwing myself
Yeah.
out of my comfort zone. Anybody that knows me, I'm a background person.
Yeah.
I'll work from behind the scenes.
Yeah.
But there comes a point in your life where you just say, you've got to step out of that and you've got to push, because the picture is so much bigger.
Yeah.
The purpose is so much bigger.
Yeah.
And the value that you hold, it's important and it has to be shared. So, I always say to people, challenge yourself, think about where you are now and where you would like to be.
Mm.
And don't think about it as something that's impossible for you to get to,
Mm-hmm.
because, we've been equipped in ourselves. Everything that we have is inside of us. We already have the tools. We just need to activate them.
Wow.
And sometimes our environment is what can either activate or deactivate the things that are inside of you.
Whoa. Okay. Just pause right there, because I just want to throw this out. Guys, look, we're just having a discussion tonight about life. We're talking about how we can move and progress forward. So if you're out there, please, I'm asking you just to share it, because it's not just for you. I know there's somebody on your page or somebody who's attached to you through your Facebook or your Instagram that could actually benefit from this, because I've heard so many conversations about surviving COVID. I've heard so many conversations as to how do we deal with quarantine, and even myself and my husband, we've been doing marriage chronicles as to how we deal with COVID, and we need to now start to talk about, okay, what's our next steps now? We are coming out of quarantine. What's my next steps? Our next steps shouldn't just be going to the nail shop or going to get your eyebrows done or going to get your lashes done or your hair cut. That shouldn't be our only steps. Yes, they're good, because yes, we should take care of ourselves, and I'm a great believer of that myself. But what are the next steps in terms of moving forward? So Miranda, please, that last little caption that you just shared, can you just go and expand on that a little bit more, please?
So, as I was talking about our environment and, it being something that can either activate what's inside of you or it can deactivate what's inside of you, it's important to know that when there's a vision that you have inside of you, people and things around you, and there might be things that are physical, but there's also things that happen a lot in the mind.
Okay.
And they can be the things that can stop you from actually bringing that vision into fulfillment. So when I'm talking about your environment, I'm not just talking about the area that you live in, the things that you are exposed to, the things that are constantly going around in your mind are preventing you from moving forward, because we're all there. We've all got issues and we've got things in our past that have stunted the growth of us as individuals. But yet you've got a burning desire to do something, but because of your experiences in life, you haven't activated it. So again, that's where the deactivation can come from, whether it's that negative words, negative views, negative thoughts about yourself, or just looking at your current situation and saying, it's not going to change. So even though I have this view, this is what I'm now, it's not going to change. So I can't see past this circle that I'm sitting in right now. So, when we're thinking about stepping outside of COVID and moving into what I would call the new norm, because nothing's not going to be the same again.
It's not the same. It's never going
It's not going to be.
Yeah.
And so, the one thing that you can do to prepare your mind for that is accept that nothing's not going to be the same again.
Yeah.
Don't look for the world that you saw before COVID to still exist after the doors are all open, because it's not going to. So that's the first step that we can do, is to prepare ourselves for the change, to accept that it's going to be something completely different and we don't even know what that looks like. But what you can do is think about how you're going to position yourself. What is it that you still want to do? Because, there's a lot of things that are happening in the economy, but it doesn't mean that we can't thrive. A lot of people have been hiding away and using this time to read books, to plan their next steps strategically. Some people are just watching movies and wasting the time. But, whatever it is that you've been doing, there is a call for action now. And the action is things are not going to be the same. Don't get caught out with no plan.
Yes. Listen, it's so true because, you know, I'm hearing people, and I'm not having a dig at anybody, so please don't be hypersensitive with my comment that I'm going to say, that I find that a lot of people they're just watching Netflix, they're chilling, they're not really doing anything with their time. Then people are telling me that they're bored, and I'm like, how can you be bored in this season? Like, this is a fantastic season to seize so many opportunities. Now, the government is throwing loans. I'm having people text me from the UK telling me, Jamie, they're throwing out loans, like blah, blah, blah. And they're thinking about applying for loans for themselves to actually possibly go shopping and to do all these sort of things. Like, our mindset has to completely change. Like, and I really believe, especially in light of what's been going on in the news, I'm sure you guys have definitely heard over there.
Yeah.
The young gentleman that was killed at the hands of police officers, and, you know, people are upset, tensions are high, people are angry, you can see people are rioting, and, you know, people are not happy because it's been going on for years. And what I'm actually hoping, and my prayer is for this season, is that during this season of COVID, that people are masterminding some great strategies that we can now start to be influential in the communities. My biggest frustration, I'm going to be honest with you, has been, I've been ranting about this a little bit to my husband and just friends and family, because it's about actually making a change. We talk about this, we post about it, we say how upset we are, how angry we are, this is happening, but in a month's time, what's going to happen? People forget about it, people move on with their lives, and the situation keeps ticking over until another incident happens. But what we don't realize, that as a group of people, and especially as ethnic minorities, we should be coming together with a strategy, getting in courthouses, educating ourselves about law, getting into medicine, getting into these professions where, you know, change can happen. I don't know what your thoughts are.
I think it's 100% on point. I think one of the things why we may not be striving in those areas is purely down to the mindset that we have held. Because, you know, when we look at the term mindset, it's looking at an established way of thinking, something that has been deep rooted, has been present for a long time. So if we think about the thought processes that we may have had for years and years, it's something that is going to take time to undo. But again, when I speak about environment, if you're not in the right environment to help renew your mindset, then you're going to stay with that same established mindset and not be striving for change, or to think that you can be influential in the change process. So, you know, that's sometimes where you can see where things come from. People are thinking all the things that you said, but, you know, also there is a point, and there's, you know, people who don't know the how. They don't know, how can I make the change? I agree with everything that you're saying, Pastor Jamie, but how do I do it? I don't know the how. And that again is about the environment. If you place yourself in the right environment, you will have the access to the tools as to how you can go about making change. But a lot of it has to start here. If you can change the way that you think and grow and think beyond where you are, then that's part of the battle already won.
Yeah, that's so powerful, Miranda, honestly. Do you know what? One of the things that I was looking at, and obviously one of the things I always try to do, is to assess myself, reflect on my actions, reflect on the things I've done, reflect on the things I've done in the past. And, you know, we've all made mistakes, we've all done things we're not proud of, we've all done things that have challenged us, that have almost been like a hindrance, that have stopped us from moving forward. What would you say about that person that's actually listening to our conversation today, and they feel stuck? They actually feel as though they can't move forward because they're constantly hitting a wall. They're hitting a wall in their career, they're hitting a wall in their home, they're hitting a wall in their life. What would you say?
I think the key thing really to look from that perspective is that that's the point where you acknowledge you need help. You know, and this is sometimes one of the hardest things for people to do, is ask for help, because we can feel that we've not sure whether we want people to know the ins and outs of our personal life. We might feel as though we're going to be judged about how we are, and might think that people are going to have a low opinion of you. But that's the time to seek help, because you've done all that you can do at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And anyone that believes in God knows that God sends help. He always sends help.
Yeah.
But if you are not looking through the eyes of the Spirit, you won't recognize the help when God sends it.
Whoa.
So if you are caught in that negative state consistently, you're going to miss the help that you're desperately needing. So
Wow.
that's why your environment is so important.
Wow. Wow. That's awesome. I mean, you said about getting help, and many people think that getting the help is necessarily going to pastors or going to a minister. And personally, I don't think that's the only help that's out there. And if you do think that's the only help, you're going to possibly be disappointed, because they cannot manage the workload of counseling 50 to 100 to 500 people, depending on how many people are drawing on them. And that's what people become disappointed, because they feel they're not getting help. So there are other ways to get help. There's self-help, there's things that we can do ourselves, to better ourselves. So what would you say, what other avenues are there that people can go to get the help that they need, now that they've probably recognized that they need it?
I think one of the first things that I would say to somebody is to look at your mindset. What do you think your mindset is? Is it one that is about change, or do you think you have a mindset that it's never going to change? Because depending on the type of mindset that you have, it will govern the direction that you're going to take. If you are of the view that I have a growth mindset, that things can change, and that I'm willing to accept the help from whatever avenue that it comes, and I'm going to enable myself to be a bit vulnerable to allow that help to happen, then you're definitely going to find the support that you need. That means you're going to speak to people. That means you're going to, if you're one that reads, you're going to read through a different vision. Your eyes are going to look differently, because you're opening your mind for change. If you are one that believes in counseling, then you'll be more susceptible to researching counselors out there or agencies that offer support that will enable you to just talk about your situation. Another thing that I would recommend for people is about affirmations. Affirmations are something that are key to helping you change the way that you think.
Definitely.
It's about finding affirmations that are ones of strength that you can continue to repeat to yourself until you believe it. Most of the affirmations that I take, I must admit, are from the Bible, but there's so many people out there that don't necessarily read the Bible. So find a good book that can enable you to encourage yourself. And there's many out there. There's many people out there that can encourage you with words of wisdom, because everything's about an experience at the end of the day. And it's not to say that everything only comes out of the Bible, because we've got so many people out there who have gone through so much in life that they're sharing their story, and they can share things that they've done. So, again, researching people and looking at, what situations they've gone through. I think another thing would be about being open to speak out to people around you, because often or not, your help is actually in your network. Your help is right in your door, in your house, in your family, in your circle of friends, or in your network. Sometimes we're scared to talk to our family and friends because, again, we don't think they're able to keep a secret, or they're going to talk about our business. And many people have been there and been hurt, so I understand. But there comes a point in life where you have to have a little bit of vulnerability to enable you to move forward.
Enable that change to happen. That's so true. Can I ask you a quick question? You've mentioned about affirmations, and some people have never heard of the term affirmations, or they've probably heard the word affirmation, but can you give me an example of an affirmation that you might do, or an affirmation that somebody can start? Because it's about starting today. So I'm hoping that whoever's watching can actually say, okay, you know what, I'm going to write down some affirmations. So give me an example of an affirmation that you use and what that affirmation means to you.
Okay, well, the one that is, for me, I would call my banner for my life, it is that I can do all things through Jesus Christ who strengthens me. That is and has been my foundational affirmation for many, many years. But also, I've also gone on journeys where I've questioned myself and my beauty and what I look like and the perceptions of other people. So I've had to go back and also say that I am beautiful and that I am great and there is value inside of me. I just make up my own that I am confident, I am strong.
Yeah.
These are ones that I have to wake up in the morning and say when you've had a tough day and your kids have done your head in and you just feel like, you know what, I can't get up another day and do this. I have to say to myself,
Yeah.
Miranda, you are strong.
Yeah.
You can get up
Yeah.
and do this today,
Yeah.
and you will accomplish what you set out to do today. So, you know, there can be a range of different things, whether it's down to the fact that, you know, I am beautiful, I am strong, whether it's about, it's possible, you know, this is possible.
Yeah.
I can do this.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's a slogan that I use, that you can and will endure, and that is another one that I use. Whatever's going on in my life, you can and you will endure this situation.
Yeah.
Just to know that you can stand.
Yeah, I think that, do you know, I think that's so awesome, because affirmations, you know, I'm always affirming myself. I'm always affirming my family, Jeremiah. I'm always affirming him. Listen, I'm his number one cheerleader. Like, even if he shows me something that I think, no, you know, it's not too, but maybe I will tell him he's awesome, he's amazing. Like, that's amazing you've ever done, son. And it does something to the mind. It does something to our behavior, where he feels now that actually, you know, I could do this. I could do this. I could do anything. I remember he was playing a song. He was practicing a really hard song a couple of weeks ago, and the chords and the changes were quite challenging. And, you know, he's so advanced for his age when it comes to music. But he's like, oh, you know, I can't do this. I really can't do this. And he was about to give up. And I said, look, son, you can do anything you put your mind to. Yes, it's going to take more time. It's going to take a little bit more practice. It's going to take a little bit more endurance, but you can do it. And when you do it and you've come at the end of it and you say, you know what, you've achieved it, and you hear what you know, that you're playing, and you've you know, you've hit it on the head, you're going to feel so happy. You're going to be proud of yourself. So I really do see the importance of affirmations and encouraging yourselves. One of the things I really wanted to touch on tonight was about about change, but also as well getting out of the cycles that we're in. And sometimes when we've gone through levels of trauma in life, it can have such an impact on the way we progress and move forward. I'll give you a case in point. I'm very transparent with my life, and many people know my mum passed away. My mum died. Unfortunately, we lost babies. Then my grandmother died. I've had aunties and uncles die. I've had, actually, when I look at my life and those who know me, growing up as a child, I've experienced a lot of trauma when it came to death. I've lost a lot of people. And a lot of the people that I lost around me were very young people as well. We've lost a lot of the older generation, but the younger ones. So I became a point in my life where I was stuck. And when I say stuck. But when I say stuck, I mean, I was high functioning stuck. I wasn't one of those people that I didn't look depressed. Well, I didn't think I did anyway. I was doing my makeup, I was getting dressed, I was going to work, I was studying, I was doing all the things I needed to do, but I still felt as though I wasn't getting anywhere. I was repeating a cycle, and it was something I struggled to get out of. So what would you advise people, or what would you say to those people who came and spoke to you and said, look, Miranda, this is where I'm at. I'm not breaking this cycle. I'm going through grief. And a lot of people, especially during this season, have and are experiencing, you know, elements of grief. They've lost people they've loved. And sometimes, if I'm honest with you, people feel guilty moving on with their life because they've lost somebody. They feel like sometimes there's a sense of guilt. Well, how can I even live when I've just lost the closest person to me? And, you know, I feel guilty for actually moving on with my life. But then there's some people who are running, you know, they will use the opportunity to fuel them. So what would you say?
I think, again, you know, how we look at life all depends on the level of maturity that we have as people. And when I say maturity, I'm not talking about age. I'm talking about the maturity of how we think, the mindset that we have.
Yeah.
Because I've lost significant people in my life, and we all deal with grief completely differently. And so I'm not going to look at somebody and say, you're not grieving because you're not grieving the way I'm grieving. And I'm not going to look at someone and say, because you're going to work, you're not grieving. Not at all. We all have find different ways to cope.
Yeah.
Our coping mechanisms may not always be the best ways,
Mhm.
but we find something that we think is enabling us to move forward.
Yeah.
So for someone who would come to me who would feel as though they're stuck in a cycle, whether that's through depression, anxiety, grief, just not feeling as though they're able to change, one of the first things that we would begin to look at is, what is it that you would like to happen? Because sometimes we can focus so much on what's happening right now that we're not seeing past the darkness. We're thinking that this darkness is going to last always, and so we're not going to see past it, so we don't have any aspirations. And to be fair, many people that are around you at that time might not ask you that question because they can see that you're in darkness.
Yeah.
So they will almost enable you to stay in grief mode. Sometimes you have to ask the hard questions, and you have to ruffle the feathers, even if they're not going to like you, to say, what do you see for your future?
Wow.
And that can be tough because people are looking at you like, what future? Did you not just hear me say that my mum passed away? And it's like, I know your mum passed away. And I'm not saying that not to think about that,
Yeah.
but we also know that there's a time in life where we have to live and we have to die. And I understand that times now that people are dying probably sooner than we had anticipated.
Yeah.
The thing is that we still, those who are left behind, still have to live a life, as some type of life.
Yeah.
And that's the hard thing. The hard thing is, as you said, do I feel guilty that I'm alive and they're not?
Wow.
But you still have a purpose inside of you, whether you are with your mom or you're not with your mom, whether you're with your nan and you're not with your nan, you still have a purpose to fulfill.
Yeah.
And it's about being able to still say that I'm grieving, but I'm still finding a way to enable that purpose to still come to life. And that's what's important. Never let go of the purpose that was inside of you.
Yeah.
And I think even as you have been transparent and shared your journey, that's one thing I believe you didn't do. You might not have seen it and you probably didn't want it, but you knew it was still there inside of you. And you knew at some point you're going to have to activate it.
Oh, yeah.
As much as you try to, life was just, it's hard. And I think that, there's nothing to say that life can't be hard. It can be hard, but it's a decision still.
Yeah.
In the hard times, we're still expected to make a decision.
Yeah.
And not, I guess, wallow in what we're in.
Yeah.
And, I don't mean to say wallow in a way that it's not important, but to stay stuck. There is a position that we have to still hold in the midst of grief.
Yes, yes. It's so true. I was having a discussion and I was talking to a few people a couple of days ago, actually. One of the things that came out of that discussion was this. Many people died at 25, but they're waiting to be buried at 75. And that blew my mind because many of us have died at young ages, and I mean spiritual death, emotional death. We've died at young ages and we're just ticking along waiting to be buried. So then that
100%.
is to many people, okay, well guys, are you living life? And that's my question to all of you today. Are you living life? What did your life look like? Life has been shook up, and nest has been shaken up in so many ways, where we're not going to church, we're not going to work, we're not going to school or our educational institutions, and things have changed for us so much, where it's actually allowing us now to reflect on our situation. And I'm sorry, if we're honest with ourselves, many of us would really be honest and say, you know what? I think I died, and I died. For me, I felt as though I died at 27, and I kept on living for how many years, just waiting to be buried, until the realization for me, my shift and my turnaround from my life was definitely 2 to 3 years ago, where I looked at my life and I'm like, enough is enough now. I'm not living my life to the fullest. I'm not living my life to its full potential. Like, it's about purpose. And I feel as though that it's so important. I think I've lost Miranda. Have I lost you? Are you still there? Hey, Miranda. Hello. Hold on, guys. I think we've lost Miranda. Just bear with. I can see her. I think something's happening.
Yeah.
You still there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm not sure what happened then.
Don't worry, it's fine. But I was just saying, I feel like a lot of us have, we're stuck and we've died basically. Yeah. And it's about how do we resurrect ourselves to get to that point now where we are living life to the fullest. And, I was sharing with somebody again the other day that we should never get to the point in life where we feel as though we've done our course. Yeah. I will always learn. I will always grow. I will always change. I'll always try something new until the day I die. My granddad, who's 91, I had a psychology book on the side, and he picked up the psychology book and he was flicking through the book, and I'm like, why is he reading the book? What's he going to do with it? I said, Gran, and I thought I'd provoke him a little bit. I'm like, Gran, what are you doing with the book? He's like, I have to learn, I have to keep learning and change my mind. And do you know what? He's 91. He has every reason to give up and say, well, I might as well just die. He's lost people in his family. He's got every excuse. But he hasn't. He's saying to himself, you know what? There's a book there. I'm going to read it. And we don't do that enough because we feel as though, okay, you know what? Life's passing me by. Let's just sit here and wait to die.
And, it's so true. And I think, even if people might not be so overt with it that way, we end up living a life of existence and just existing in life and stuck on that treadmill of that routine of day in and day out. And so even that in itself, for many people, can relate to that and feel as though that they are dead from that perspective, that they're robotic, living a robotic life, but not fulfilling their purpose themselves. They're caught up with everything else in life, and there's not enough time for them to look at who they are and what it is they're meant to do.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's unintentional that they're just existing.
Definitely. I think that's brought me on to, obviously, I can see some banners behind you and you've got this Endure program. But before we touch on that, I always want to just say this, is that I feel that sometimes people don't like to invest in themselves. They don't like to spend money on the physical things, but they never really invest in the emotional things, the spiritual things. And when the price is put on that, many people shy away from it and they feel as though, well, I can't afford it. But then if you think about it, if something can cost, what, $300, $500, $1,000, I mean, I've got friends of mine who go to conferences and spend $5,000, $7,000 on classes, mastering themselves, because they know in the long run, what they're going to get back out of it is far greater than that £7,000 that they've spent. And, people don't spend enough time on themselves. But what do you think about that?
I think one of the things that we can look at is that it's important to invest in yourself. If you don't invest in yourself, then there's a part of you that don't love yourself. And, you can invest in the aesthetics of what you look like, but ultimately you're measured by what's inside your heart. You're measured about who you are and what you portray. So I can make myself look beautiful, can have nice long hair, nice nails, but it doesn't mean anything. It really doesn't mean nothing. So, if that's not going to help me with my goals, if that's not going to help me be a better person, what's the point? So, you've got to look at what is it you're investing and what value is it going to make to your life. And that's the key thing, is that, if someone can present something to you that is of value to not just the way you look, but how you feel, but also how you can grow and pull things out of you that you've never saw yourself before, that's worth investing in.
Oh, that's brilliant. So tell me about your program. What is Endure? What have you been doing with people? Just tell us about it.
So Endure Healthy is really about helping people to overcome obstacles and to fulfill their true potential. So throughout that, I've been working with people one-to-ones and in groups around themselves, because often or not, the biggest obstacle is ourselves. Most of the people are operating out of fear and not doing anything because of fear. And actually been working with people around the issues that they have caused, that are obstacles in their life. What are the hurdles that they're trying to jump over, or what are the hurdles that are stopping them from growing? A lot of it also is about the mindset. But we've also been working around trauma, because a lot of people have gone through trauma in their lives,
Yeah.
and it's the trauma that we have to unravel to enable people to go forward. And that's where people can be existing
Okay.
things that have happened in their past that they've never dealt with before, but it's actually affecting their future.
Right.
So a lot of the work that I've been doing with people really is about helping them to have a different mindset, a different approach to their situation, and finding new ways, strategies, models, frameworks to help them move forward.
Yeah. So what, in terms of the process, how long is this process? Because some people might take 1 week, the change happens straight away. Some people might take years. So how is your program designed to help that
So,
poor person that might take years?
so even with somebody that could take years, I'll give one example of a client that I had. The client was probably in her 50s,
Mm-hmm.
and worked full time and had a vision in her life, but never ever did anything with it. And she had that vision for 35 years of her life.
Wow.
So that would be someone that you would say that was stuck in a particular mindset for a whole 35 years.
Yeah, yeah.
She did the program and she realized the value that was inside of her.
Mm.
And all those visions that she had buried became unearthed, and she started to walk into each one of those things. And that was over a matter of 6 to 8 weeks. She was there functioning in the things that she didn't think were possible and actually bringing them to life.
Wow.
So, even though somebody could have had something that's historical and has been laid inside of them for years,
Mm-hmm.
you could actually have a new mindset renewed in a matter of a couple of weeks. Because if you're willing to be open to change and being vulnerable as well and being truthful, you'll get it. It doesn't have to be a slug, and it doesn't have to take years.
Wow. That's awesome.
So, the minimum program that I do is 6 weeks. 6 weeks, once a week for an hour.
Okay. So obviously with COVID and everything happening, how do you manage around that?
So I do, now I have virtual packages. So I do with people online, and do sessions with them virtually. And, it's been amazing. The growth has been really good. And for people who have experienced it face to face and experienced it virtually, obviously everybody wants to see people. I'm a very touchy person. I like to give hugs and I like to do all of that stuff. But at the same time, they're still gaining. They're still looking at what they're doing virtually, and it's still as insightful for them as if they were in person. So from that perspective, it's not been that much change for them, and they're still, being able to move forward with what they're doing. So yeah.
Wow, fantastic. And how has it changed people's lives? Because that's what it's about, isn't it? It's about the life changing. And I'm sure you've had loads of testimonies and loads of stories, success stories of where people's lives have been changed. But, how has it changed people's lives?
You know what? I could be here all night, but it is phenomenal how you see a transition in a person when they came to you with no hope.
Yeah.
And didn't believe that nothing was going to change. And I'm talking dark situations to seeing hope and actually walking into a thing that they never thought was possible. And, for me, that is an amazing feeling to see somebody transition in what I would call such a short space of time and actually begin to walk into something, see themselves as valuable, and actually start to put things in place, not just be a thought or an idea, because, when I'm checking in on them, weeks later, they're operating, and it's that operational part, you know what I mean? It's like anyone that I've worked with, they're operating, the fruit of them is they're seeing it. I'm working with a young lady now, and she has blown my mind. She has been on such a journey, and she's now opening and starting to run her own business, something she wanted to do, but never thought she was able to do.
Wow.
So, I just see that the transition has been amazing.
Wow. That's awesome. And I think it's the end goal, isn't it? It's about identifying what's your end goal, what is the very thing that's going to make you happy. And we know that as believers, that Christ is the ultimate thing, that we know that with Christ, in Christ, there is the fullness of joy, and everything we need is in him. But then
Yeah,
also as well, we need to still be practical and understand there are practical steps that we need to put in place in order for our day-to-day life, in order to live a fulfilled and rich life. And there's some great
definitely.
practices that we can do. Like for example, in the mornings we still have a routine. Jeremiah still has a routine. I have a routine. I'm up by a certain time. I do this by a certain time. I pray. I read. I do all my stuff by a certain time. I exercise by a certain time. I do it all as a routine, and I think that's really important. But I think your Endure program is like a package that will help to boost, people's
Yeah,
lives, and help to identify. I think it helps to weed out, doesn't it? Weed some of the stuff
100%.
that
Yeah.
has that. You know what they say? It's the little foxes, isn't it, that spoil
Mhm.
and the
Divine. Yeah.
sometimes it's the little foxes. And with the Endure program, I look at it almost like a bit of a weeder, really, where
Yeah.
it takes a fine tooth comb and actually goes through some of the stuff, and even some of the things that we probably wouldn't even realize was actually
Yeah.
a problem. And that's the
Definitely.
thing that I've found when I speak to people, is that to them, when they're talking to me, it's nothing, it's just this, but actually we've identified that that could possibly be the problem, so let's focus and home in on that a little bit more.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know what you.
Yeah, I think that's 100%. I call them the hidden gems. When we're doing the program, the hidden gems, people will come with me about what they think they want to work on, and
Yeah,
we do that. But it's the hidden gems that we love, because those are the things that are the real issues, that are the real roots to what is their issue or their problem. And, they are discovering things that they never thought were a problem, and they're realizing actually they are, but now they're able to build strategies, action plans for how they can deal with that
yeah,
going forward. And
yeah,
I think that's the biggest thing that I believe the Endure program does, or Endure does for people, is help them with the how. How, because we are told lots of different things, get this, get that help, do this, do that. But some people are stuck with the how.
yeah.
And I think that's one of the key things that Endure really helps people with, is the how.
Right, so I'm in Florida, you're in the UK, so can anybody access your program? Is it
Yeah.
just for people who are in the UK? Tell us how can people access it?
People can access from anywhere, and I guess with it being virtual, it means just as I'm speaking to you now, I'll be having sessions with people from across all over the world. So for me, it's an exciting time, because it doesn't matter where you are, you will be able to have access. So if you've got Instagram, and you're healthy on Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
otherwise you can find Miranda Jarrett on Facebook. I'm also on LinkedIn, and what other platform is there? I'm also on Twitter, Endure Healthy at Twitter. So across all the platforms there, or you can contact me directly at endurehealthy@gmail.com.
Guys, listen, I am challenging you to really just make contact with Miranda, because even just having a brief discussion with her, I'm sure she'll be able to sit down and talk to you about some of the things that maybe you need to focus on, and some of the things that you can go through, and some of the areas that you can work on. Guys, I believe invest in yourself. It's never too late. Money should never be an issue, and go with an open mind, because when you go with an open mind, I'm telling you, things will completely be revealed to you that you never ever thought was an issue, and change will happen. Miranda, thank you so much for your time. Honestly, it's been absolutely amazing, just sharing with you, and seeing you grow. It's just been phenomenal. Seriously, you're amazing.
Thank you so much.
I've
Thank
sat
you.
down and I've spoken to you, and we've shared, and you've encouraged me, and vice versa. And I know that you are a genuine person. You genuinely care about people. You care about their emotional, spiritual well-being, and I would not bring you on here if I didn't think you were real and I didn't think you were genuine. Trust me, I would have bypassed.
I know that.
It wouldn't even be a topic of discussion.
I know.
Because I know your heart, and I know how you are. I know that so many people that I know, and people that I see around me and know, especially even who are connected to me on Facebook, would benefit greatly from what you're doing. And guys, if there's somebody that you know would also benefit from it, listen, get them to get in contact with Miranda. Actually let them listen to this video, and you will see that there's so many nuggets that Miranda has said that you know that if you had somebody that was dealing with you one-to-one, it would be life-changing. Guys, we're going to go. I want to leave this with you. The statement that I said, the statement was, many people have died at 25 and are waiting to be buried. Listen, I'm telling you, my hands are thrown up in the air. You could have just laid me out right there, just dash some olive oil all over my head, because that is deliverance all by itself, that statement. Anyway, because, you know, many of us we've died a long time ago. Some of us have died when our parents died. Some of us have died when we experienced that trauma. Some of us have died when we lost our jobs. Some of us have died now in COVID, emotionally. Yeah. And we're just waiting to be buried. But guys, I declare over your lives that you're going to live again, and you're going to walk in that season of greatness. You are going to walk in that season where you will experience joy. You will experience peace for your life. Your businesses are not going to die. You know, you're not going to lose your job. And if you do lose your job, it's time for a new strategy. That's what things are showing us. God's showing us so much in this season, and we're seeing the grief and calamity. But in that, because the Bible says that, you know, it's good to be afflicted, because there is still always something in the affliction that God is trying to show us about our situations or where we're meant to be. For a case and example, people were challenged when we moved to America, but I know, like never before, this was ordained. Like, it was the right time and the right season. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to hit the ground and I'm going to run as fast as I can, as hard as I can, and make sure that I fulfill every purpose in my life.
Yeah, amen.
I'm saying this because I want that for your life. I want, when you hit the ground, when the doors open, I want you not, you see, because I can imagine, do you know, hold on. You know those adverts that you see when people are like running for a sale? You know, like in the UK, you've got the next sale going on. Anybody
and Black Friday,
about the next sale in the UK or Black Friday in the USA? People are crazy. Like, they will knock you over. They will push you out the way. They will kick you. Listen, don't mess around. People kick you down. They are queuing at the doors from like 5 a.m. in the morning. Actually, one of my friends, she was telling me how she queues from like 3 a.m. in the morning for these stupid next sales. But it's serious, and it's like everybody's ready for this sale. It's almost like everyone's ready for the doors of life to be open again, and everyone's going to run through these doors. Well, the reason why we've come on here today is to challenge you that, okay, well, in 2 months' time or a year's time or 10 years' time, where are you going to be? And it's not about stopping, guys. It's about continuing and enduring to the end. So, guys, I hope you got something out today. Miranda, thank you so much for staying up late. I know it's late for you. What time is it again over there? What time is it over there?
It's almost 1 o'clock in the morning now.
Thank you so much. Like, you are
almost 1 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, is it 1 o'clock in the morning?
Listen, it's worth it.
It's 8 o'clock. It was great. Thank you so much.
It's worth it.
Thank you for your time. For my love to the family. Guys, thank you so much
for
your time. Speak to you soon. Take care. Bye.
Okay, bye.